Hi, everybody.
Hey, everybody, welcome to TFT, Tarot for Today, Divine Dabblings with
Oberon,
and me, Banshee. Welcome to the show. Welcome to your
your
Weird
weird
Week.
week.
We're getting good at that.
I guess. I sort of want to drop it.
I know. Ah, well. So, hey, I hope everybody didn't have too weird a week last week, but judging from the cards we had, it was a pretty bad, weird week. You know, the stuff that's going on in the Gaza Israeli conflict that's waging there is just sad. You know, all the way around, it's just sad. And I do think that the response to the conflict has been like three times what the tragedy was in Israel. I don't want to judge that because I don't think Hamas is owed any quarter in what happened in Israel. Um, but I really hate to see this conflict escalating and so many innocent people in Palestine, hurt by this conflict.
Yeah, beyond the sense of what the politics are,
Yeah.
it's just horrifying that so much death is happening and that no one seems to be able to bring better solutions to this land.
And we know the rage has been all over the world. There have
Yes.
been, incidents of terror. There's some questionable things questionable thing that even happened in our state. We still don't know if the murder of a Jewish synagogue leader was due to a hate crime or not.
Related.
So I don't know that it's hate crime related. There's no evidence of that as yet. But we do know that there's been more acts of violence, not just against Jews, against Muslims as well. And really, I hope that the rhetoric and everything can be toned down a bit so that, humanitarian solutions can start taking hold. So that's one of the major things that happened last week. And we do think that our cards could have definitely reflected on that.
Mm-hmm.
But clearly, too, these cards so reflected on what went on in Washington with the House stalemate, with the Republican Party not being able to elect a speaker, and some of the activities surrounding that. So let's take a look at the cards from last week and see what we've got. So card one, which was the major focus or theme for the week, was the star reversed. Right there. We're all just feeling pretty hopeless right now, Imagine what it's like to be in those war zones. Israel afraid, of an escalating conflict, afraid of, attacks on their people. The Gaza Strip is being bombed into submission and maybe not. It's just relentless. And so we see there's a lot of pessimism and a lack of hope right now in the world with, people just drawing their sides. And that goes with what's going on in the House of Representatives as well.
Well, in almost all the situations, it just sort of feels like there's a futility.
Yeah.
And we feel that way in politics, like it just seems like the futility of trying to elect somebody over and over again and only getting depreciating returns.
Well, and things only got worse for a little bit after we got the star reversed because card two, which is what we will find out or see, was the Five of Swords upright. That is a total card of conflict, no win situations, just a lot of anger, animosity, acting out, drama, violence, even to certain extents as well.
Right.
Isn't that what the five is?
The typical drawing from a weight deck or some of the various interpretations is that it looks like some sort of armed conflict, a war of some sort.
A war of some sort. And lest we forget, as well as the war going on there, the war in Washington also reflects this as well. Representatives who voted against, a certain segment of the Republican parties, who, that wanted to see this person be elected, Jim Jordan, to speaker, they were going around and threatening people. Okay, they weren't, but they sent out rhetoric enough that it riled up lone actors to call in threats to a lot of the congressional leaders for their vote. We can't run a government under the gun like that. It's terrible, to think that, people's wives and families are being threatened because of their family member doing their job.
The card feels like a take no prisoners approach to governance when applied this way. And you can certainly kind of feel that way with, what's going on. It's more third world like than anything we're used to seeing in our halls of government.
And I mean, how many days, of course, in Gaza has Israel, shut off water, shut off supplies, the fuel that's needed to run hospitals, just barely some trucks are trickling in now, and it's not enough. It's not enough for all the people that are there. We also, we'll get to it later, there was some movement with hostages last week. I think that's going to come up in our reading. But the thing is that this is a no-win situation. Nobody wants to budge. They don't want to budge from their positions, those that could make a difference and stop this conflict.
I can't say anything.
Card 3, the Three of Swords upright. What is that one, Mr. O?
Well, that's in the position of the other perspectives to be considered. And of course, the Three of Swords talks about a lot of pain, a lot of heartache, a lot of sense of isolation or things being pulled apart, relationships breaking. And of course, in a larger stage, it could be talking about the relationships between states, nation states,
right.
Governing bodies, people from different aspects of governing bodies, like our own government.
There's sorrow, there's grief, there's a sense of hopelessness, with the Three of Swords, and
the idea that nobody wants to work together.
Right. Well, that we have drifted further apart. Clearly some people would like to cheer what's going on, in the Republican Party, for example. Oh, finally they're just breaking apart. They're no longer voting as this bloc. There's all this dissension and discord. They're going to fall apart. Well, sometimes when things fall apart, they take a lot more stuff down with them. And so for those who relish, the anarchy and all this breakdown that they see going on, be careful what you ask for here. There's a lot of sorrow and loss associated with all of this. And let's face it, as far as it went with the House race, there were a lot of people that were very sorrowful that Jim Jordan did not get elected Speaker. They really wanted him badly. As a matter of fact, in the MAGA contingent, Matt Gaetz had maybe a couple other people offered their jobs or censure or whatever. They would accept a censure if, Jim Jordan could get the job. Well, you know what? That's not a way to run government either. It's not the way it works. He got voted out. Let's move on. Let's just get somebody in there that maybe more people than not can agree upon.
All right, so card
Am
4.
I going too long for you? Because you didn't add much to that.
I know.
Well, you should. But because this is where we give most of the stuff is the week before. And then we just tell you about the week ahead.
Well,
but we didn't touch Gaza on this one much, too.
It's true, and I did say more or less what I meant to say. I mean, the Three of Swords is really like, bad news wherever it falls, and it really speaks to the nature that what we find is that people don't really want to work together. Some people do, but more people do not.
But in your haste, you have forgotten one other factor. It's the tarot of oppositions, and we're supposed to be looking at both sides of that card.
Well, that's why I said some people do want to work together, but most don't.
Oh, darn you. I missed that. Your thing was so short, I missed that.
Well, it was short, and I apologize for that. It's overwhelming.
What I did want to say was we aren't working together, and there are, we're healing. We aren't healing the rifts, and there are clearly, with that card upright and reversed, opportunities for healing. So I'll leave it at that.
Okay, all right. That's a good point.
Card 4.
Card 4, what is the overall impact? And we have The moon reversed.
Well, things were revealed. Things were revealed in Gaza, I think. Um, I'm trying to think of exactly how that applies
There is some
there.
speculation about who really was responsible
Oh,
for the
the
hospital.
hospital bombing happened last week too.
Right.
Thank you.
And there are some people that say, maybe it was really Israel. Some people say no, it was Hamas. Some people say it was some inadvertent other kind of accident. I've actually heard that.
Evidence keeps cropping up that it was a rocket from within, but or so they say. So we have to really couch our news carefully these days. um I would say the moon reversed is saying there were revelations in that conflict. We're also learning more about the plight, I feel, of Palestinians. I've seen more news reports covering that than I have, and the inability of getting those trucks moving and in. There was a lot of follow up on that. So I do think we were seeing a little bit more things being revealed in that conflict. And
Another
go ahead.
aspect of what could be revealed that maybe, we were wondering about is, of course, what happened after Jim Jordan was not reelected and we heard about secret meetings.
Yes, there was secret meetings, which is really like the moon upright. But
Yes,
of course,
we
everything came
found
out
out.
about what happened at that secret meeting. The moon, reversed. It got revealed that he was no longer going to be the candidate for speaker. They had a secret ballot. And why did they have to do that? Well, people were getting threatened. I don't think, and you know what? In a way, I'm grateful they did do that because it allowed, the Republican Party to not vote out of fear that they would be targeted, but that, they could speak their mind on who if they wanted Jim Jordan speaker or not.
But it is really kind of sad in a way because just the idea about the moon being reversed as an overall impact just says that more people are still willing to risk secret maneuvers that may be revealed
Yeah.
in order to work their wiles. And that's everywhere. That's not just, American politics, but it could be what's going on in, Russia and Ukraine and various other, conflicts or matters going on.
Card 5. Finally, we're at the end. What would win or not the weird week? And we have the 5 of Pentacles reversed.
And of course, this could be talking about people finding their way back into an area of welcome or an area that respects them in some ways that maybe they feel that they had been kept secluded or outside the circle of, common good.
It's ironic. There definitely was some healing or coming together of different factions again. That may or may not be healthy, but as far as the U.S. House goes, and the Five of Pentacles reversed to me sort of indicates that there was healing. There was a coming together, people feeling like they had a voice again. Like, for example, some people got inspired, I think, by the 22 that voted or the 20 that voted against Jim Jordan initially, and the totals just kept going up. And so it wasn't really a massive amount that voted publicly for, the removal of Jim Jordan as speaker or for somebody else to be speaker, but it kept increasing. It was like people were finding their place again, their right place at the table. They weren't feeling bullied or intimidated as much. And the secret ballot that they had made even more people come clean on how they really felt about it's time to move on from this speaker, and try someone else.
Well, in other matters, the
Yeah.
Five of Pentacles reverse could be talking about people starting to slowly resolve some of their problems with the conflicts that we've been talking about. It could be that, maybe more things will start to happen that will be positive for the Gaza situation. It's going to be slow. It's going to take a while.
Hamas released two hostages. They were American hostages, Israeli American
Yes.
hostages. And so, maybe there's a sign of maybe some opening there. Some trucks did get allowed into Palestine. Like I said, it's not enough, but maybe that's some sign of some opening there. But as we see also, other groups are starting to faction together. The rest of the Arab nations are, forming a bloc against Israel in this war. President Biden got snubbed, right, by Arab leaders to meet with them, after the hospital blast took place. So we're not there, but there may be some signs that some healing might be occurring. And that's it. That's what we have, for last week. Let's see what's going to happen this week finally. All so right. How long did we go on, Mr. O? Hours?
15 minutes.
Yeah, it takes time.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you know what? I'm using my Twin Tarot Oracle so we can find out what the focus of the week ahead is. And the Twin Tarot Oracle is a double Major Arcana deck with upright and reversed Major Arcana cards. Let's hope we get some more signs of life here.
So the major focus or theme?
It's the Magician reversed. Look at him. He's got kind of crazy eyes. No, not really. Anyway, it's the Magician. He's reversed. I guess, should I put him here?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's about right. Okay, well. What do we have to say about him? Charlatan? Can you say charlatan? Can you say sleight of hand? Can you say tricky maneuvers or actions? Wow, that sounds like the House of Representatives lately, but guess who else it sounds like?
It sounds like what could be going on with the former president's trials. And a lot of those things, although we didn't talk about them in our rewrite here, are very much starting to heat up. Various things are coming to the head, and so far history has shown that Mr. Trump will do more things to try to distract in one way or the other, to conflate, inflate, etc.
It's somebody who uses their powers, in I don't want to say aberrant manner, but not in a very ethical manner. Let's put it that way. And so, this could be the bully tactics in the House. Who knows what's going to happen this week as well. There's bound to be some more fighting and jockeying around there for position. But I totally agree with you. I thought that too, that it looks like Trump may be back in the news again this next week. After all, he just got chewed out in New York for breaking a gag order and fined $5,000. But I have a feeling if it happens again, it's probably going to be a little bit worse.
Well, wherever we have maybe a situation where there is a leader type who maybe is skirting the boundaries of what is acceptable in terms of governance, and of course I'm thinking of the recent rumor mill that says that Putin maybe has a body double who is enacting some of his words or deeds. You got to wonder, this could apply to a number of situations.
There are always these articles out there saying he is gravely ill. But, what can you believe these days? It's very hard to, find the truth. I take it all with a grain of salt.
But that's our next card, what we will find out or hopefully find out. And for that, I'm using my
Let me move these. Sorry.
Secrets Tarot.
Yes, you are.
And we pick most of our decks to use here because we feel that the imagery and the theme or tone of the deck kind of goes along with that question for the position.
All right, Mr. O. Looks reversed to me.
It does. And it is the Queen of Cups reverse.
Wow.
What we will find out is somebody really cannot contain themselves emotionally and possibly with how they imagine things or how they want to construe things for others to believe. This could be a card of somebody who's very much emotionally acting out. So once again, it could be a shadow back towards, the former president's shenanigans.
Well, and as far as, yeah, I have to agree with that. I also think it could be some other things. I definitely feel there is acting out here. There is a lack of empathy here for others, And in a way, we could also see this in the House battle again, The people only have self serving interests at heart and no care about what this is doing to the fabric of our democracy. So, and that goes for Mr. T as well, when you think about it.
So what we may find out is that whoever these people are, they're more being guided by, some sort of discare for people and really just their own selfishness, things like that we find from a kind of inversion of a loving, characteristic.
Interesting. Interesting. Card 3, which is
our share deck, the Tarot of Oppositions. And what we look at here is what are the other perspectives that we need to consider. And we picked the Tarot of Oppositions because it's a double-sided, not double-sided, double-ended tarot. So that one end of the tarot is meant to be the upright version of the card, and then the other end of the tarot is the actual reversed version.
Well, the cards are upright and reversed. It's a visual representation thing, basically, to put it clearer. I shuffled first, right? Yes. So go ahead.
And of course, the idea behind the use of this deck is that sometimes the answer is a little bit between those extremes, maybe somewhere more in the middle, a liminal space.
All right.
Card 3, the other perspectives to be considered.
Well, it's reversed, I think. Hang on. Yeah. No, it's upright. It's upright. It's the 9 of Swords upright.
The 9 of Swords upright.
Well, it's not something we want to see upright. Which is interesting because in this position last time, we had the 3 of Swords upright. So,
wow.
I know. So we're replacing the sorrow and despair and the grief with anxiety and stress, right? You can go ahead.
So there's a lot of anxiety, but then there's maybe also
it's true, it's both
an
sides.
inclination towards the other end of it, which would say that some people feel more hopeful. And of course, this could be, the nail-biting effects of watching Mr. Trump's trial come closer and closer. Everything really is heating up there if you're been paying attention. But other things are heating up too. The whole situation between Gaza and Israel and the other countries that may be taking sides here, well, there's certainly so much anxiety with everything really crucially opposed to Gazians having any kind of structure in their life right now. I mean, it's pretty desperate there.
It's pretty desperate. And there's a lot of fear and anxiety. And yet, people are trying to maintain, hope or finding ways to allay their fears. I think that's important here, is that there are those who are, just anxious and kind of wallowing in this kind of fear-based mentality, and others who want to reach beyond that, who want to put things in proper perspective. Don't let fears, the whole thing about this card is letting your fears overwhelm you to the point that it affects your day-to-day life, or, managing your fears and realizing that sometimes we blow things a bit too much out of proportion than what they are, and we could more easily resolve this and work towards, things that would allay our anxieties and fears. We definitely have, the ability to do that.
So it really could be any of the situations that are going on that seem to be
all of them
very much at a fever pitch in some form.
And I think we're all just a little bit anxious with the world lately, and what is going on everywhere, not just here. But here, even in our day-to-day lives, we're encountering more violent, more aggressive encounters, people who are just snap. And, there's so many guns and everything that, it's a very precarious time right now.
You know what I'm seeing a lot of? I'm seeing a lot of people that are just doing very flagrant disregard of traffic situations.
Right.
I went to visit somebody recently, and it was about a 25-mile ride. And I was on a freeway that had pretty much shut down to one lane. And all of a sudden, a car is just driving in the area that's already been closed, and they're just driving along on their own. They're like, I'm not going to wait in a line. I'm just going to drive ahead. And it was, the weekend, so there was nobody working there that would have been interrupted by them. But then within a few moments, I saw a very similar kind of situation to that, where the car just decided to do what it wanted outside of, what everybody else had to do, which was conform to the lane shortening. Some people are like this. So anyways, we should move on to card 4.
We should.
What is the overall impact?
Card 4, the overall impact, which is with the Healing Light Tarot. My Healing Light Tarot deck. Let's hope we get something here hopeful. Because I'm not seeing it right now with these cards. All right. It's Judgment upright. Wow. Wow. Well, you know what? That does smack of legal decisions in a way, does it not? It could be about the Trumpian stuff.
Judgment always stands for some sort of, payback time on a certain level, or smackdown. Karma, what goes around. And, I was just talking about a situation where it just seems like people are more and more taking law into their own hands or deciding what is convenient for them to adhere to or not. But maybe all of this is coming to a head that we will see very soon. Or maybe this is about specific situations where, paying the piper has come due.
Well, and karma could be affecting Israel or the Gaza and the Palestinians right now. Israel really should be mindful.
They're winning the war that they think is important to them, but they may be losing a more important war.
They're losing the moral war. And, the Palestinians, they really, and Hamas, I can't, karma will visit them. Karma's visiting them already with some of their commanders and things getting killed, in some of the bomb blasts, etc. So, war is hell. Let's just face it. Let's just say it. War is hell. But also, Mr. Trump, Judgment Day. No.
Or any of the other, people, because I guess a couple of them are going on trial in the next couple of days, right?
And, I think we've seen a little karma dish out already with this back and forth with the House of Representatives. One side didn't get what they wanted, so they went against the other side's candidate, and now that side didn't get what they wanted. And so, this is kind of a karma playing out here in a way, and we're just going to have to see. I have a feeling this could be about maybe there will be some more votes, thankfully, because really, they need to resolve this impasse, in the House of Representatives.
So this this sounds like a perfect segue to our final card, the fifth card. What could win the Weird Week, or possibly win? And for that, I'm using my Global Fusion Intuitive Tarot.
And for that, I'm hugging Bly.
Oh, Bly. What does it mean, Bly?
Give us a good card, Mr. O. Give us a sign of hope. Judgment, in a way, is a sign of hope. You know, it's kind of like chickens. The chickens are coming home to roost, right? Is that a proper phrase? No?
It could very well be.
Okay. So that was upright.
Dun, 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 dun.
Uh-oh. What do you got?
It's the reversed Five of Cups.
Oh,
Well, that's interesting.
Some people, you know, interpret that differently than I do. Oh, and look, we had a 5 last week. We had the 5 of Pentacles reversed, and now we have the 5 of Cups reversed. Isn't that weird? And you know, we talked about this 9 being here and the 3 of Swords, 2 sword cards being here. So there's some interesting corollaries between, you know, this week and last, wouldn't you say?
Yes, you know, the week goes by and things are still the same, only a little different.
It's just, oh no. Well,
but what could win the Weird Week could be the realization that, of course, what we thought what we had lost, maybe we just had forgotten about, maybe we had disregarded. Maybe it's possible that there are some things that have decided to come back to help us, maybe people who might have been moving away but have changed their mind and maybe they can help out. It could be any number of these kind of things, but it could be saying there are things that can help us. We may not have noticed what they are, or we may not have realized that they were there.
You know, I look at the 5 of Cups as a bit more positive card because, you know, you're looking in sadness and sorrow at what you've lost when it's upright, and not recognizing the things you have to fall back on. So maybe that's it too. Maybe in all of this badness that is happening, you know, here in particular, there are some, you know, maybe judgment is part of the reason for this. There are some fail-safes in place to fall back on that can preserve things, you know, like for example, you know, in the Trump trial, you know, there may be some legal things that can stop some of the, you know, threats or abuse that's going out by, you know, Trump and his supporters, you know, and maybe the gag orders, etc., or other things, or other people turning on him, realizing the gig is up. I mean, we had 2 people, was it 2 or 3? It was 3, right? Well, yeah, 3 people plead guilty, you know, to charges that they were trying to manipulate the election results.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so right there, guilty. What does that mean? That there was some foul play at play.
Well, you know, the 5 of Cups reverse could be that turnabout, that sense of things changing, a flip. As it were.
A flip. But also, like I said, realizing we have fail-safes in place. This is even in the House of Representatives. Maybe something will happen that will ensure that some speaker is going to get in there, you know? Like maybe the Democrats and Republicans, if they can both come to, you know, can face each other, you know, it's like they don't even talk anymore much, you know, that they can come together and try to create, you know, a speaker if the Republican Party can't do it on their own, which they've got the majority, so they should be able to do it. And as far as Gaza goes, well, I think this could fit as well, but I'm going to reserve a little judgment on that one because I just want to see how this could play out. Could it mean that maybe more supplies will get through? Could it mean that there might be some, you know, easing of what's going on?
There, yeah.
It is a possibility. So let's keep hope alive for next week that at least it looks like there's a positive outcome a more positive outcome. Let me just say that ahead. Although, like I said, we are struggling. So everybody, take care of yourselves. Have as best a week ahead as you can. Don't get too anxious over all the horrible news out there. And we'll see you again in a week for another episode of Your
Weird
Weird Week.
Week.
See you
Bye now.
guys. Bye-bye.